The wind arrives first. It does not speak, yet it erases sound. It does not strike, yet it steals heat. Across frozen plains, barren tundras, scorching deserts, and storm-carved mountains, ancient humans stand exposed against a planet that does not care whether they live or disappear. Survival begins not with strength, but with understanding. In extreme environments, temperature is not merely discomfort, it is physics. When air falls below -30 degrees Celsius, exposed human skin can freeze in less than 10 minutes. The body, engineered for a narrow survival window near 37 degrees Celsius, begins losing heat immediately through conduction, convection, radiation, and evaporation. In still air, heat leaks slowly. In wind, it is ripped away. A 30 kilometers per hour wind at -20 degrees Celsius produces a wind chill equivalent to -35 degrees Celsius, accelerating heat loss by nearly 4 times. Winter here is not a season. It is an adversary. The human body produces roughly 80 to 100 watts of heat at rest, barely enough to warm a small light bulb. In open air, this heat vanishes into the environment, swallowed by infinite cold. Without shelter, survival time becomes a countdown measured in hours. Hypothermia begins when core temperature falls below 35 degrees Celsius. At 32 degrees Celsius, shivering becomes violent. At 30 degrees Celsius, the mind slows, confusion spreads, and the will to survive begins to fade. Ancient humans do not fight winter with force. They fight it with engineering. Shelter becomes the first machine humanity ever builds, a structure designed not to resist nature, but to manipulate energy. Early humans observe a simple law. The deeper into the earth one goes, the more stable the temperature becomes. Beneath frozen ground, even when surface air falls below -30 degrees Celsius, soil temperatures may remain near 0 degrees Celsius. This discovery transforms survival. Earth becomes insulation. Soil traps air, and trapped air resists heat transfer. A wall of packed earth 50 centimeters thick can reduce heat loss by more than 70% compared to exposed air. Ancient humans dig downward, carving shallow pits, then deeper chambers, then entire underground dwellings. These are not crude holes, they are thermal systems. Inside these early earth shelters, geometry matters. Circular shapes reduce exposed surface area, minimizing heat escape. Low ceilings trap rising warm air near the body instead of letting it dissipate. Entrances face away from prevailing winds. Some are built with downward sloping tunnels, forcing cold, dense air to settle near the entrance while warmer air remains in the living chamber. Even without fire, these spaces maintain temperatures 10 to 20 degrees Celsius warmer than outside. Snow, often seen as deadly, becomes another engineering material. Snow contains up to 90% trapped air, making it one of nature's best insulators. Inside a snow shelter, even when outside air falls below -40 degrees Celsius, interior temperatures may hover near -5 degrees Celsius, cold, but survivable. The difference between death and life is sometimes only 30 degrees and a wall of frozen crystals. Yet cold is only one enemy. In deserts, heat becomes the threat. Under direct sun, ground temperatures can exceed 60 degrees Celsius, hot enough to burn skin. Water evaporates rapidly from the body, pulling heat away but draining life. Ancient humans respond with inverse engineering. Instead of trapping heat, they reject it. Shelters are dug partially underground where temperatures remain cooler. Thick earthen walls delay heat transfer, creating a thermal lag that keeps interiors cooler during day and warmer at night. Shade becomes a structural component. Openings are small, positioned to control airflow and reduce solar exposure. Across environments, one principle repeats. Survival is energy management. Early shelters evolve into hybrid systems, partially underground, partially above ground. Stone, bone, wood, and earth combine. In permafrost regions, blocks of frozen soil form walls stronger than brick. In windy plains, low-profile structures reduce aerodynamic drag, preventing collapse. The structure itself becomes a response to physics, resisting wind shear, trapping heat, minimizing energy loss. But shelter is not only protection from temperature. It shields against predators, storms, and exhaustion. It
Across
becomes
the
a
diverse
boundary between
landscapes of our
chaos and
planet.
order. Outside is uncertainty. Inside is control. The moment ancient humans build walls, they begin reshaping their relationship with nature. They are no longer wandering bodies in hostile space. They are engineers constructing survivable environments. Fire has not yet entered the story as a dominant force, but its coming role is inevitable. Shelter prepares the stage. A confined space allows heat to accumulate. Insulation allows energy to persist. Geometry allows airflow to be controlled. The structure is ready to receive its heart. Night falls. Wind continues. Snow buries the surface, but underground, a small chamber remains intact. Warmer, quieter, survivable. Within this space, ancient humans discover the first truth of survival engineering. Nature cannot be defeated, but it can be redirected. And in that realization, civilization begins. Darkness settles, but inside the shelter, a new force awakens. Fire. Not merely warmth, but controlled energy. Fire is the first engine humanity masters, converting chemical fuel into heat, light, and survival. In extreme environments, fire is not comfort. It is life support. A small flame produces roughly 1 to 2 kilowatts of heat, nearly 20 times the resting heat output of the human body. Within enclosed shelters, this heat transforms survival conditions. Interior temperatures rise, moisture dries, and freezing becomes manageable. But fire is dangerous. Too much smoke suffocates. Too little oxygen extinguishes. Fire must be engineered. Ancient humans designed primitive stoves, controlled fire pits lined with stone to absorb and radiate heat slowly. Thermal mass becomes essential. Heated stones store energy and release it gradually, stabilizing temperature long after flames fade. In some shelters, stones heated in fire are carried into sleeping areas, functioning as early heat batteries. This simple technique extends warmth for several hours through the coldest nights. Ventilation becomes a matter of life and death. Smoke contains carbon monoxide, an invisible, odorless gas that binds to hemoglobin 200 times more strongly than oxygen, silently suffocating victims. Ancient shelters evolve airflow systems. Low intake openings draw fresh air inward, while small roof vents allow smoke to escape. The result is a primitive convection system. Warm air rises, cool air enters, smoke exits. Without understanding chemistry, they master fluid dynamics. In colder regions, animal heat supplements human survival. Domesticated animals, dogs, goats, reindeer, share living spaces, contributing metabolic warmth. A single medium-sized animal can produce 60 to 100 watts of heat, equivalent to another human body. Several animals together significantly raise interior temperatures, reducing fuel consumption. Shelter becomes not just a structure, but a shared thermal ecosystem. Fuel management becomes critical. Fire consumes resources relentlessly. In tundra environments with scarce wood, ancient humans burn dried animal dung, a slow, steady fuel rich in stored plant energy. In forest regions, wood is carefully rationed. Burning too fast wastes heat. Burning too slow risks extinction of flame. Firekeeping becomes a daily discipline. Embers preserved overnight. Ash used to insulate coals. Ignition materials prepared constantly.
Daily life revolves around energy cycles. At dawn, fire is revived. At midday, fuel is gathered. At dusk, shelter is sealed. Every action is tied to heat preservation. Cooking, drying clothing, melting snow for water, all depend on fire's controlled output. Fire is no longer a tool. It is the beating heart of the shelter machine. Clothing emerges as the second layer of survival engineering, portable insulation. Animal fur traps air, reducing heat loss dramatically. A well-layered fur garment can reduce thermal loss by 50 to 80% compared to bare skin. Clothing systems are layered. Inner layers wick moisture, middle layers trap heat, outer layers block wind. Even without synthetic materials, ancient humans create functional thermal engineering using biology. Food becomes fuel for the body's internal furnace. In cold environments, caloric needs double or triple. Survival may require 4,000 to 6,000 calories per day. Fat becomes essential, containing 9 calories per gram, more than twice that of protein or carbohydrates. High-fat diets sustain metabolic heat production, allowing the body to generate more internal warmth.
The
Eating
deep
is
winter
no longer
snows
routine.
arrived, and
It
with
is
them, the
thermodynamic
realization
necessity.
that their fuel
Efficiency
reserves were
defines survival. Heat lost unnecessarily is life lost unnecessarily. Shelter openings are minimized. Sleeping platforms are elevated above cold ground. Bodies sleep close together to share warmth. Fire is positioned strategically, not too close to waste fuel, not too far to lose heat. Every element is optimized through experience. Water management also intersects with thermal survival. Dehydration reduces blood circulation efficiency, impairing heat distribution. Snow cannot simply be eaten. Melting it inside the body consumes energy and lowers core temperature. Instead, snow is melted near fire, preserving body heat. Small details become survival strategies. Over time, survival systems become more refined. Some shelters develop multi-room designs, separating fire areas from sleeping chambers. Others incorporate heat-reflecting surfaces made from polished stone or compacted clay. Airflow paths are deliberately shaped to maintain oxygen supply while preserving warmth. These are not accidental improvements. They are iterative engineering solutions born from observation and necessity. Beyond mechanics, fire changes psychology. Light pushes back darkness. Warmth pushes back fear. The presence of flame creates a center, a gathering point for humans and animals alike. Around fire, stories are told, tools are repaired, knowledge is shared. Fire sustains not only bodies, but communities. Outside, winter still rages. Temperatures plunge, storms bury landscapes, winds scream across frozen terrain. Yet inside the shelter, a fragile system holds fuel, fire, airflow, insulation, food, clothing, all interacting like components of a living machine. Remove one, and survival collapses. Maintain all, and life persists. Ancient humans do not conquer winter. They out-engineer it, day by day, flame by flame. Winter is no longer just a physical test. It becomes a psychological one. Darkness stretches across months, isolation deepens, and survival becomes a battle of mind as much as body. Inside the shelter, warmth exists, but beyond its walls lies an endless frozen silence. Endurance now requires more than engineering. It requires meaning. Human survival depends on cooperation. Shelters are rarely solitary. Families, clans, and small communities share confined spaces, forming structured social systems. Tasks are divided. Some gather fuel, others prepare food, others maintain shelter integrity. Collective effort reduces individual burden. In extreme environments, isolation equals vulnerability, but community equals resilience. Ritual and belief emerge as psychological stabilizers. Fire becomes sacred, not only heat, but symbol. The hearth represents continuity, life, and protection against darkness. Many ancient cultures see winter not as random suffering, but as a cyclical trial, a force to be endured with patience. Spiritual frameworks give purpose to hardship, transforming survival from struggle into journey. Time behaves differently in winter. Days shorten, nights dominate, and movement becomes limited. Humans adapt by developing routines, predictable cycles of work, rest, and preparation. Routine stabilizes the mind, reducing uncertainty. Even in isolation, structure preserves mental strength. Yet survival is always future-oriented. Winter is endured not for itself, but for spring. Preparation becomes a central survival strategy. Food is stored, tools repaired, clothing reinforced, and shelters maintained long before winter reaches its peak. Ancient humans learned to think seasonally, engineering not just for present survival, but for continuity across time. Knowledge transfer becomes essential. Survival techniques, how to build earth shelters, how to ventilate fire, how to preserve heat, are taught across generations. This is humanity's earliest scientific tradition: observation, refinement, transmission. Skills are encoded into culture, stories, demonstrations, rituals, ensuring survival knowledge persists even when individuals do not. Children grow within these systems, learning not through theory, but through lived experience. They witness the consequences of poor insulation, weak shelter, neglected fire. They also witness the success of careful engineering and cooperation. Survival becomes inherited wisdom. As winter fades and temperatures rise, shelters open. Snow melts, water flows again. Communities emerge from isolation into motion, hunting, gathering, rebuilding. The survival system dissolves temporarily, only to be rebuilt when winter returns. This cycle continues across centuries, shaping human adaptation. Modern technology has changed environments, but the principles remain unchanged. Insulation, airflow, thermal mass, fuel efficiency, these same concepts govern modern buildings, heating systems, and survival equipment. Ancient engineering survives within contemporary science, hidden but foundational. The story of ancient survival is not about hardship alone. It is about ingenuity, the transformation of vulnerability into strategy, chaos into structure, cold into controlled warmth. Humanity's greatest tool is not strength, but understanding. In the frozen silence of ancient winters, beneath earth and snow, surrounded by firelight and shared breath, humans did something extraordinary. They built systems that allowed fragile bodies to endure an unforgiving planet. And in doing so, they did more than survive. They engineered the foundation of civilization itself.